Hare Krishna. Greetings from Govardhan. Today there will be a lot of competitions for the class. It's Diwali here, which is July 4th on steroids. It's the most joyous day. I'm not going to speak about that. I'm going to speak about the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Also, I have the fan on because there were termites in the closet, and the person that assists me, this Indian, he put this poison there. he put this poison there, and he told me that it would smell for 5 days. So we agreed he would do it after I'm gone. But he said, "Can I have money to buy it?" So I gave money to buy it, and then he used it. So I got my door shut, I got the fan on, I got all the windows open. So it's just the way the world works, because actually things were going really, really well. We're going around every day. And around my little ashram, we have like a nice community of really nice people. And I'm doing 2 hours programs in the night. We have kirtan. One of the Sanga members, Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, she sings very beautiful. And then I lead Damodar Astakam. We chant Hare Krishna. And then we have an hour class on the 7th chapter, which is the one I prepared today. I get confused, but actually we're only up to the 4th chapter. So I prepared for that chapter. I only need like 10, 15 minutes to prepare, but I didn't do that. But, Kartik is, quite wonderful and walking around every day. It's not even an austerity anymore. It's just a pleasant walk. And today we had about 10 people with us. It's been very nice. And I gave class. There's a Russian Sanga they rented out all the places. I'm really close to them. So I gave they wanted me to give a talk on Radha-kund. And I gave the intriguing title. Bhakti Devi's there. She knows that I'm expert in branding. So I gave the title Prabhupada, Putana, and Govardhan. And I tied all them together. And it was really fun, and people appreciated it. Okay, so let's go to where we're at. And let's see what we can do for today. Okay, text 4. I don't know where we are or going. We'll just see what it is. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yadṛcchayā labdham viṣṇor dāsyarathes naicchan mokṣaṁ vinā dāsyaṁ tasmai hanūmate namaḥ. Although Hanumān obtained from the son of Daśaratha the boon of liberation without striving for it, he never wanted to accept liberation without the opportunity to serve. To that Hanumān I offer my obeisances. Commentary. This is another verse Bṛhad quotes from scripture from Sri Narayana Vyuhastava as proof of Hanuman's greatness. Liberation became available to Hanuman without his even trying for it, but still he did not want to accept it. He wanted only service to Lord Ram and nothing else. He thought, even if the cycle of birth and death is broken, I must continue serving my Lord. Om, I did that. Did I chant that already? Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaḥ Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from Govardhan. And we're continuing and relishing the glories of different devotees. It's so nice. It's that energy that exists between someone with devotion and the objects of devotion. And that feeling intensified is love. Love is the energy. Prema is the energy between us and everything between us and God. And it's enhanced by hearing about the great devotees. I quote Voltaire, he says, that which we appreciate comes to us. So it's nice here in Govardhan practicing Krishna consciousness. I know after hearing this about Hanumān, on the Prikram path, when we go on I think it's the Radhakund side, as you go through the town of Govardhan, and then you go a little bit on the right, and then there's like a deity of Hanuman. And you feel such sweetness, because sweetness is love. Love means service. And, Hanuman is the exemplar for dāsyarathes, for servitude. Exemplars are so important in society, because everything in life, the most important thing in life, is to go in the right direction. And to go in the right direction, you have to have the right goal. And to have the right goal in society, you need people that represent it attractively. And if you don't have that in a community or in a society, then the society doesn't move in the right direction. I always describe that the greatest tragedy is to have the wrong faith. Your goal, your objective is your faith. And if you have the wrong faith, a goal that actually you think gives happiness, but it doesn't, it's the worst tragedy, because you're spending all your energy moving in the wrong direction. So society needs exemplars. In fact, when I took sannyas from Satsvarup Maharaj, in fact, today, they only gave me 3 days, but they asked me to write an offering, because I took sannyas from Satsvarup Maharaj. Wonderful sadhu. He's 84 years old. His Vyas Puja will be in a couple of weeks. So he only gave me a short time, and how much time did I have to write? But I told the story where I took sannyas, and I was recommended for sannyas. I was not yet 32 years old. So I've been a sannyasi for 40 years. And I was in a dilemma. And the dilemma was that at that time in ISKCON, there was a lot of pressure to take from the person who was the GBC zonal acharya guru in that area. Now in Vrindavan, the zonal acharya is Bhavananda, who I really appreciated as a manager. Not many people, he liked to manage. There's not many people, they just stay in their room, do it by computer, and he would go out. When he was in Mayapur, the place was spotless. Everything, Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me, if you go to Mayapur, anything you don't like was done after Bhavananda, and anything you like was done by Bhavananda. But he lived his lifestyle before there's any moral interpretude. His lifestyle was so lavish and so it wasn't an inspiration for renunciation. So I thought, I don't really want to take sannyas from him. So I went to Narayan Maharaj at that time. He wasn't accepting disciples, and you go to see him. There was nothing happening in the Mathura. And he'd be happy to come out and answer your questions. And he was such a learned Vaishnava, so scholarly for many, many years. And, Brahmin family, born in India, he had a lot of, not just that, but he had the culture and a lot of experience. So I came to him and I said, I explained my dilemma to him. But then, because I knew there was a pressure to take from Bhavananda, I kind of supported that by saying, anyway, it's only a formality. And then he looked at me very soberly and said, no, there's no formalities in Vaishnava relationships. Every relationship is solid and real. He said, you should take from the person who inspires you most. And that was naturally Satsvarup Maharaj. His pranam mantra was something about with sadhu bhushanam. He had the ornaments of a sadhu. He was very gentle. He was very austere. And then I went to see him, but I had another dilemma. The other dilemma is I didn't want to leave Vrindavan. And, sannyasis is like traveling and preaching. But he said, no. He said, Prabhupada said, a preacher, it's like a salesman. If a salesman has a good spot, he can make more money than one who travels. So I also got his blessings to stay, and I'm still here. After 40 years, by Krishna's inconceivable grace, I'm here in Govardhan, and I have my dream. I have this really nice ashram. I mean, I have 3 units, but there's a guest house next door, and in front of me, there's nothing but gardens. And then when I took sannyas from Satsvarup Maharaj, his speech was very incredibly powerful. And it was very unique also because I was supposed to take sannyas on Gaur Purnima in 1981. But all of a sudden, there was one of the zonal acharyas, was gone off, and they sent Satsvarup Maharaj to Europe to speak to his disciples. And I was told I was taking sannyas about 3 hours before I was getting it. And it wasn't in the temple room. It was on a room on the roof of the long building where Satsvarup Maharaj was there. And it was very impressive because he was practically packing when he had to give sannyas. And I took with, I think, 4 or 5 other people. 2 of us are left, myself and Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Swami. The others are gone. And he said something, among other things. I'm not going to go into it because I'm going to stay focused to the class. He said that avoid politics, management and politics, and avoid business. Because he said a society needs people whom they can trust. And once you mix these activities in, he said, so we need people like that. So it's the same sense. Exemplars. It's such a great service just to be a good devotee. Just to be a good devotee. And be fixed in Krishna consciousness and have the qualities of the devotee and act as a Vaishnava, avoiding idle talk and gossip, avoiding politics and criticisms, and open to serve everyone in the mood of service. So you need exemplars. And without that, the society doesn't move in the right direction, which is why in Varnashram system, the sannyasi is the guru of all other orders. Why? Because they want to put on top, the objective is renunciation. And it gets screwed up when the sannyasis have all the opulence. It becomes a little bit challenging for the society. Because the Varnashram system, the way it is, if you want to be number one, be renounced. If you want all the power, then you're number two. So it prevents, so it puts the number one as the person, the quality of renunciation and knowledge, to inspire the society to move in that direction. So anyway, it's just social psychology. And the Varnashram system was organized that way. And it was great because the sannyas, the renunciate, there's not so much impetus for action. And for the person who's the kshatriya, there's not so much impetus for restraint. So they complement each other. That those who with the passion get the restraint, and those with the restraint get the passion. So exemplars. So there's different exemplars for different items of devotional service. And different exemplars for different items of devotional service. And Hanumān is the exemplar for dāsyarathes, and not just giving the fruits to one Krishna, but giving every sense to Krishna. And that was Hanumān, the mood of service, full service. And that becomes one's objective and not liberation. It's so easy in this material world to desire liberation. Just like, oh, I'm suffering so much. Oh my God, I just wish I was. That's liberation. It's so easy because there's so many troubles. There's just so many troubles. My God. I'll quote again. I quote again. This temporary material world is full of suffering. Take shelter of the holy name of Krishna as your only business. There's just so much suffering. If it doesn't get you financially, it gets you from health. If it doesn't get you from financially and health, it gets you with relationships. If it doesn't get you with health and financial and relationships, then it gives you, then you have spiritual problems. It's somehow, then you die. Sridhar Swami, our godbrother, he was a what you see is what you get man. And on his briefcase, he would always have that little saying, life is tough and then you die. Bhutva, Bhutva, Baliyate. It says in Bhagavad Gita, again and again destroy. So after a while, you stop building what's again and again destroyed, like a child with a sandcastle on the ocean, again and again destroyed. After a while, tasyeva heito priyateta kovido talabhyate yadṛcchayā uparyadam. That though who is kovido, who is so intelligent, he goes for that which has meaning. Not Brahmanda, Brahmate, Konya, Bhagavan, Jeev, Guru, Krishna, Prasad, not wandering from universe to universe, from species of life to species of life, but he goes for that which has meaning, which is devotion, which doesn't mean you don't take care of your needs, but your needs don't become your objective. It's not that you don't take care of your enjoyment, but your enjoyment doesn't become your objective. Everything is secondary to prema bhakti, and everything is lined up to achieve that. And that's the message of the Bhagavatam. So here, Hanumān, it's just, he can get that. He can get what we all want, which is free from all the adibhotik, adidaivik, adhyatmika, the distresses that come from nature, the stresses come from your own mind and body, the stresses that come from others. I was taking prasadam with one sannyasi, and I just said, how come the prasadam is so bland? He said, yeah, it's so bland, but no matter what I do, it always comes out this way. He said there's adibhotik, adidaivik, adhyatmika, and adidasikam, the pain that comes from the servants. So he doesn't want, and that's devotion. Your focus, your happiness. Jiva Goswami says real happiness is the happiness you get from it, is the happiness of your beloved. That's the real flavor of happiness and devotion. So that's what a devotee wants. Anya bilashita shunya. There's nothing else. And it's consistent with what it's consistent with what we accept. That happiness is love, it's not selfishness. So the depth of selflessness and service is really what touches the heart. So, Mama Janmani, Janma Eshra, Lord Chaitanya is praying. I don't even, what to speak of wealth, what to speak of money, what to speak of the opposite sex, I don't even want liberation. And this theme, it's repeated. It's repeated with each person. You can see that they don't have that desire for themselves. And that's what's so beautiful in a person. The person who loves to serve. The person who thinks of others before themselves. So that's Hanumān, and he's the exemplar for that. Mad anuktam chamat mahatmyam tasya veti param bhavan kadva kimpurashe varshe drishvat tam modam apnahi. You certainly know glories of his that I haven't mentioned. Why not go to Kimpurusha Varsha, see him yourself and be enlivened? So who's talking? Prahlad to Narada, because Narada is on that search. He glorified Prahlad, and Prahlad says, no, Hanumān. I'm trying to remember God. But actually his remembrance is even deeper because he's serving God. So that's even more intimate. And that's what Narada is looking for. He's looking for that, for who has the most mercy of God. And the person who has the most mercy of God is the person who has the most love for God. And the person who has the most love for God is the person who has the greatest ecstasy in life. So that's what he's searching. Now it's certain, enlivened. He said, there's other things of him. I'm just mentioning something where you can go where he is. So if you want the complete appreciation of the person, then you go and meet that person. That's the complete appreciation. You go meet that person. And, and of course, Prahlad is Shastravid. He knows Shastra. See, he's heard also about Hanumān. But now he's being directed that this is the person who has the most mercy. And naturally, utsahan, nistayadharya, the quality of devotee is enthusiastic. And this is his faith. And we move in the direction of faith. That's why if you don't have faith, you don't move. And not just some theoretical understanding, but some realized understanding, some experience of that goal that drives you forward. An inspiration. That's why I explained to people, that's why we're coming here. People are coming here to Govardhan, and why that has become really my service is to give faith by giving people that experience in Vrindavan. Giving them that experience, faith, taste by experience. And that experience is so deep here that people can get. And I think many of you have come to Vrindavan with me and know that. So now, naturally, so again, now it's going to say, Shri Parikshit Uvacha, Ayi Mata, Aho Bhadram, Aho Bhadram, Aho Bhadram, Upatya Sanata Kena, Muni Kim Purusham Gata. Sri Parikshit said, "Oh, dear mother, the sage Narada then jumped up from his seat and flew through the sky to King Purushavarsha, all the while repeating, Aho Bhadram, Aho Bhadram. Oh, how wonderful, how auspicious, how auspicious. But today, it's just like a Krura when he was coming to Vrindavan and he was praying. Krura waited for 12 years in Mathura, and he served Kamsa just so that he'd be in proximity in Vrindavan, and it would give him that chance to meet Krishna. All his other brothers fled, so he had to risk his life by being Kamsa's minister. And he also was Kamsa's minister He was also Kamsa's minister so that he can keep an eye on Krishna's parents. And that way serve Krishna's parents. So those two things qualified him to see Krishna. His faith, which meant to show Krishna that I appreciate the goal, which is your lotus feet and the service of your lotus feet and developing a relationship with your lotus feet, that I will undergo any difficulty, any price is a bargain. When Jai Jagannath came with his Dandavatis this Prikram group, and they came to me first. One, I was not first, but they came to me, and I was able to speak to them. And I told them, you're performing some austerity, but it's devotional because you're honoring God by paying your obeisances to him and around him. This is the way bhakti works. Krishna sees, I have to give this person something. I have to give this person something because look at the sacrifice that person made. I have to get, and my next Monday morning greetings, I'm writing about, it's called Devotion and the Dumb Phone. The dumb phone is what I call the smartphone. And it's my realization when I see people walking around the hill with their phones. Not many people. Most people are just devotional. And I start meditating, like, what benefit do they get? Right? And how anyway, it's a whole analysis of rules, etc. But one of my conclusions is it's kind of subtle, but consciousness, the whole idea is to remember Krishna. The rule is not given to complete the rule, but the rule is given because if you follow it, it facilitates you thinking of Krishna. And we can easily develop the misconception that I complete the activity and I get the benefit, but that's not the purpose of the rule. But in the same sense, because I like to be balanced, I read something today that said the best way to develop critical thinking is writing. So I look at writing Monday morning greetings as not just, it's beneficial in any way, but one thing, it sharpens the critical thinking even more than talking. Because writing, you have to be so precise. So at the end, I also wanted to say, too, that there's also something of someone taking up a vow, like the Dandavatis took, or chanting your rounds, etc., and finishing it, showing Krishna that, I'm making this effort, and the blessings that you get also. So that's also nice. So Narada is naturally enthusiastic, and he jumps from his seat, and he's saying, how wonderful, how wonderful. He's driven. What's the engine? The engine is his faith. He understands that bhakti is in the heart of devotee, and if I can get the Sanga of devotees and relationship of devotees and that caliber of devotees, then bhakti comes to the heart. And that's what happens in loving dealings, is transference of heart. And therefore, how important it is to have the right association and exchange in the proper way. And that's what a Vaishnava culture is. Because then hearts get transferred. So text 55. Tatra pasyad Hanumantam Ramachandra Padabjayo Sakshad Ivarchana Ratam Vichitrai Vanyavastuvi. There in Kimpurusha Varsha, Narada saw Hanumān absorbed in worshiping Lord Ramachandra's lotus feet with varied items from the forest, as if serving the Lord personally as before. So the Lord is in the deity, but he's everywhere. And he's certainly in the deity. And he appears, like any person, he manifests according to one's love. An ordinary person manifests himself, his true self, according to their love. So God actually manifests. So he's worshiping the deity in separation from Lord Ram, but at the same time, he's having that personal association with Lord Ram. And he's offering with love, patram pushpam palam toyam yomebak, a fruit, flower, what does he have? So he's worshiping in the forest with devotion. Even the simplest thing can carry so much love. In that regard, I'm thinking in the Krishna Balaram Mandir, there was this great saint who served for many, many years called Vibhu Chaitanya. And he was self-effulgent devotee. Everyone recognized him. And when he was too old to cook all the offerings, he would hand out the Charanamrita. And such devotion. So even the simplest thing. Hanuman's mode of worship was so personal, he could hardly remember he was standing in front of his Lord's installed deity. He felt as he was living with the Lord in the forest just as before. Gandharvadibir anandad kiyamanam rasayanam ramayanam chushinvantam kampashru pulakarchitam. Listening to the nectarian Ramayana recited by Gandharvas and other celestial singers, Hanumān was in ecstasy. His limbs trembled, tears poured from his eyes, and the hair on his body stood up on end. So he's like in prema. He's in a very high level of devotion. And what's inciting it within him is hearing the glories of his Lord and hearing those glories sung. Very beautiful. When we were on the Parikram path today, and when we went by the Govardhan forest side, the most beautiful side, past Jatipur, there was a Gaudiya Vaishnav sannyas. He was like a sadhu, and he had a little, I don't know, it looked like a gourd with a string. I don't know what you call the instrument. And he was singing Damodarastakam with such bhav. So it's so pleasing when things are done with devotion and with the right melodies and very sonorous and deep and meditative. So it's very, very moving, because when someone sings and he has devotion, then that emotion within his heart becomes recreated within the music. And therefore, you can actually take that person's heart into your own heart through the ears. So someone who has that kind of singing, it has such a tremendous effect. So these are the Gandharvas. These are the planet of the great singers. Commentary: these bodily symptoms of ecstasy are natural effects of maturely hearing the Lord's glories and the perfect consciousness of prema. The Gandharvas living on Kimpurusha Loka regularly sang from Sri Ramayana the glories of Lord Ramachan, which Hanumān and his Rasika associates experienced as Rasayana, a storehouse full of blissful tastes, the 9 kinds of loving relationships with the Supreme Lord. Or taking another sense of Rasayana, these recitations were like the sweet-tasting medicine, most effective for curing the disease of material existence and strengthening the natural life function of prema bhakti. So Rasayana, Rasayana is like a elixir, Chawan Prash, something like that. And Vichitra Divya Divyaischa Gadya Padhyay Sunir Matai Stutim Anyas Chakur Vanam Dandavat Pranatirapi. He glorified the Lord. Now, this is what Narada is saying. He glorified the Lord with various prayers in prose and verse, most excellent compositions of his own. He also recited prayers composed by others, and he repeatedly offered prostrate obeisances. So he was doing his dandavats just constantly, not around Govardhan, but in front of a deity of Ramachandra. And as he was doing it, he was composing his own songs about Ramachandra's glories and then chanting others. So he's completely, because as I mentioned many times, what kirtan is when the bhava in the heart is expressed by the discipline of music. So he's really excited. Chakrosha Narado Modaj Jaya Shri Raghunatha He Jaya Shri Janaki Kanta Jaya Shri Lakshmanagraja Jai Shri Raghunatha He Jai Shri Janaki Kanta Jai Shri Lakshmanagraja. Narada cried out in joy, glories to you, Shri Raghunath, to the beloved of Shri Janaki, all glories. Glories to the elder brother of Shri Lakshman. Commentary, approaching his destination and seeing the ecstasy of Hanumān, Narada spontaneously expressed his ecstasy in this way. Nijeshta Swamino Nama Kirtana Shruti Harshita Utplutya Hanuman Durat Kanje Jagraha Naradam. Delighted to hear glorified the names of the Lord he worshipped, Hanuman jumped from where he stood and caught hold of Narada by the neck. Tishtan Vyat Yeva Muni Praharshan Nityam Padabhyam Kalayan Karabhyam Premashru Dharum Chakapishvarasya Prapto Dasham Kinchid Avajad Uchi. Standing in the sky, Narada was overjoyed. With his feet he danced, and with his hands he wiped away the flood of loving tears from the eyes of the Lord of the monkeys. Sharing Hanuman's unique mood of loving ecstasy, Narada spoke in a loud voice. Commentary. Narada could use only his feet for dancing because Hanuman held him by the neck. And because Narada's hands were busy wiping away Hanuman's tears. Sri Narada Uvacha Sriman Bhagavata Satyam Tvameva Paramapriha Aham Chat Tat Priyo Bhuvam Adyayatvam Vilokayam. Sri Narada said, O Blessed One, truly you are the dearest devotee of the Supreme Lord. Today, just by seeing you, I too have become dear to the Lord. Commentary. Shri is the goddess of fortune, Lord Vishnu's consort. Her blessings have descended on Hanuman in the form of the treasure of pure devotional service. A devotee who has gained the favor of the goddess Shri is sure to please the personality of Godhead. And anyone who obtains the grace of such a Shriman devotee will also reach the same destination. Okay, I'm going to quickly look at the list and acknowledge all the people that have been kind enough to attend the class. Anyone, Jai, you start off.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for this class. I'm at Yogamaya and I'm in the room where there's a huge picture of Hanumān on the wall. So it's so nice to hear these things. Hi, everyone. To hear these things. But a couple of things I was like really struck by. One is that it's an exemplar pointing out an exemplar. You know, Prahlad, we know, is the exemplar, and he's pointing out to another exemplar of the practices devotional service. So that even more shows his exemplariness. And so I just thought that was really sweet. And the other thing, when you were quoting that there are no formalities in Vaishnava relationships, I love that so much, that, you know, it's not like, oh, it's just really doesn't matter. It does matter, these relationships, so much. So it's always, I always find that such a good reminder. So thank you for that, Maharaj.
Thank you, and good luck with your class at Yogamaya,
Thank you,
which
Maharaj.
historically at the forefront of the burgeoning Krishna consciousness that started 10 years ago. We couldn't have imagined how many people have come forward.
Yeah.
And Yogamaya, the Bhakti Center wasn't up and running. So Yogamaya was really having those kirtans and pro. In fact, you came from that program.
Yes, he did, Raj.
And in that one teacher training was you,
Yeah.
Saibel,
Saibel,
Patrick Franco,
Franco, Lisa Bermudez.
Luis Bermudez. Yes.
Yeah. So nice. So nice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great one. I remember giving the Bhakti section there. That was fun.
I met
Okay.
you on my first day of that training. I
Oh,
remember
great.
that. You came in the very first day of the training.
Wow, that was great. Wonderful. Good. Okay.
Thank you,
Gail,
Raj.
you have any simple question for me?
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. When you said that the deity is, I mean, Krishna is in the deity as opposed to Krishna is the deity, that kind of caught my attention.
It's the same.
Oh, see, that was simple. Oh, Maharaj, I also
Yeah.
wanted to tell you that, I gave my husband that lecture of yours that you did in St. Albans, like what,
Oh,
10, 11 years ago. And he was so appreciative of it. He was like, you really know how to break things down for, you know,
let me tell
people.
the people what happened. And of course, Henry is here in the class. And I would visit Henry in Washington. And Henry had gone to this school called St. Albans, which, if you see the National Cathedral, it must be one of the most beautiful churches in the world. The middle of Washington, on the highest point, on 20 acres. It probably took 100 years to build. And the son of one of Henry's best friends from his graduation from Cornell, he wanted to go to India. And he asked Henry if he knew anyone. Henry took him. And I met this guy and we developed a great relationship. And he later became a teacher in that school. So arranged that I spoke to the morning assembly. And the assembly is in this, like, like church, like another church room. It was so, it's Episcopalian. So they also have they have these like wood seats. They're very formal, and you're not facing the audience. You're like facing this way, and then a lectern, and they introduced me. And I have that lecture. I should put a I should put a one second. What, okay, got that. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Alex. have your wife just email me, and I'll remind you. I'll recommend a book you could read, because I think after this is going to go out. Yeah, so I was giving this lecture, and I forgot how but it really went well. And I was really, I mean, after the lecture, the students were coming up and shaking my hand. Yes, thank you very much, sir. And these are like the elite, you know. But I remember the key to the lecture is even though it was the National Cathedral, they have a stained glass window of my uncle. Because, not my uncle, well, it's my mother's cousin. And interesting story, my mother's cousin, Rabbi Alexander Good, when World War II came, he volunteered. He didn't have to fight. So he became a chaplain on the battleship, the USS Dorchester, which went from, Greenland to England. And it got hit, and it sunk. The ship sunk. And somehow they weren't prepared for it, and there weren't enough lifeboats. And the 4 chaplains, some of you, because you heard my classes many times, but the story is so good you could hear it again. And they got everybody else on the boat first, and there wasn't enough room for them. So people that were saved saw them. There was a Catholic, 2 Protestants, and a rabbi. They saw them arm in arm. As the ship went down, they got everybody else off. Not everybody, but as many people. But they didn't take this places, singing the Psalms of David. And people remembered it. So there's a lot of commemoration for them. So when I went into the church, there was my mother's cousin. My mother used to give lectures and go to different places about that. So somehow or other, yeah, that lecture is someplace. I'll put it out. I'll put it on my.
I can send it to you, Maharaj.
Okay, send me the lecture, and then I'll put it out on Monday morning greetings. But that was it. That lecture went really great.
Oh, look, Rati's already beat us to the punch here.
Okay.
He put it in the chat.
Okay. Anybody want to link on the chat?
Maharaj, how come your uncle was one? I mean, was he the only one who was in the stained glass window of the?
No, the 4 chaplains.
Oh, all 4 of them. Okay.
Yeah, my grandfather used to go dedications of swimming pools, and in West Point there was a postage stamp of them. Yeah. Oh. So yeah, there was many
like commemorations. Yeah.
And my mother had a book. I read the book. And my mother used to go into things where they were honored because she was like the last living descendant. So she was.
Do you remember the name of the book?
I would say ask my mother, but she's no longer here. I don't know, I forgot, but it was, yeah. Anyway, you can look it up on Google as best you can, the 4 chaplains. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I always admired when I heard that, because we live in, and therefore, you have your faith in your particular tradition, but substance is more important than faith. You may have the right conception, or you may feel you have a spirit, but people, they have that substance, and they really believed in God. They really had that faith, and the test was, right, that they could sacrifice their lives. And it was a great tragedy because his wife, at the age of 22, 23, she lost her husband. Yeah. Yeah, he was a rabbi in York, Pennsylvania. I read.
Wow, so that means he was so young. His wife was that young that he was so young.
Yeah, I don't think he was that old during World. How old? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, how old could my mother and father, and he was a contemporary, be, in 1940, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother
Yes.
in the 20s. And
Wow.
I used to visit his mother in an old age home in Brighton Beach with my grandfather. Yeah. Okay. Well, great that Joseph got like that, huh? That's great.
Yeah, he really did. Made a point of letting me know how much he appreciated your ability to communicate with people, the common man.
Okay, now I'm going to make a joke. Now I have three things in common with him.
Uh-huh.
The four chaplains, Rodney Dangerfield, and Juventus.
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 Yes.
And Juventus. Okay.
Yes.
So three things in common.
May the list increase.
Well, it's now increased. Okay.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just a few people say hello, and then we'll go because it's later now. Anybody say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here. Thank you so much for the class. Always great to hear from you.
Okay, great, Tota. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, it's Lal Govinda.
I'm Bṛhad. Thank you for class.
Hey, okay. Hey, Lal, we'll see you soon, right? Great.
Yeah, he's going.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, anybody else?
Madhurya Radhika here. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
Madhurya, great to hear from you. We need to touch base, right?
Yeah,
What?
did you get my my message?
I did get your message, but we need to touch base now.
Sounds good.
We'll figure that out. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Jai Shri Radhe. Hello.
I wanted to ask one question. Is it some special sign of affection when Hanumān is holding Narada Muni's neck?
A special sign of affection? I think it's kind of, yeah, well, it's like hugging someone, but Narada Muni's in the air, so you can only hug him by holding on to his neck.
Oh, that's why. I see.
Okay. Thanks, Jai Shri Radhe. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna,
much for the
Haribo.
class. Thank you very much.
Great to see both of you. Okay,
Thank
Haribo.
you.
Great.
Thanks, Haribo.
You have that company. It's like
Yeah,
a little.
yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, that's great,
Okay.
Maharaj. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Garaj, it's Kishori Radha in Priya.
Priya, Kishore Radha, Haribo. Great.
Haribo.
Good. Who else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Bhakti Devi. Good. Good to see you. Okay. Are you upstate or in Brooklyn?
Brooklyn.
Okay. Jai.
Brooklyn Vrindavan.
What?
Brooklyn Vrindavan.
Okay, Brooklyn Vrindavan. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much. And I'm strongly touched by this story. Thank you greatly. Sacrifice of love. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class. Excuse me.
Amala. Okay. You belong in the Himalayas, meditating.
I'd rather be in Puri where it's warm.
Someplace other than Albany.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
Ishwari, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay. Gopi Gita, Haribo. You're on your way to work?
No, I am going to the ashram.
Oh, hey, how's that? Great. Okay.
Thank you for class, Maharaj.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Amala, Hare
Amalak, Amalak.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class.
Okay. Okay. A lot of people. I'm going to head out now. Time to go. Vancha kalpa dribhya